Incision.
Hello and welcome to this point of view walkthrough of how Dr. Staples and I fix a broken femur. We begin with an incision on the front of the knee, just below the kneecap. Through this incision, we place a guide pin directly into the joint and onto the surface of the femur. We use an intraoperative x-ray machine called the C-arm to help guide this process so that we are perfectly centered on the distal end of the femur. We take front and side view x-rays to ensure that the guide pin is in the correct position. If we are pleased with the position, we use a power driver to insert the pin into the bone. Directly over the pin, we use a big drill to create an opening into the distal end of the bone. With that opening created, we can remove the initial guide pin and now place a long guide wire into the canal of the femur. The large opening ensures that we don't deviate from the correct trajectory. However, given the fracture pattern, we often have to use a tool called the finger to help navigate the wire through the shaft of the femur to help bypass the broken segments. Without a solid bone tube to work with, it is very difficult to control the passage of the wire without this firm, rigid support. Here, we see a step-by-step passage of the wire under X-ray guidance. You can see the finger tool helping to guide the wire across the fracture. Once the wire has correctly traversed the length of the femur, from the bottom incision to the top near the hip, we can remove the finger tool and use a measuring device to assess the length of the bone. With this length known, we move to the next phase of surgery called reaming. The purpose of reaming is to open up space inside the canal of the femur to prepare it to accept the final rod for implantation. We use sequentially larger reaming heads attached to a long shaft drill and insert them directly over the guide wire. We continue with this process until we have achieved an appropriate sized canal opening.
Step 5. X-ray.
With the reaming complete, we implant the femoral rod. Using a mallet, we insert the rod into the canal we just prepared. Given the fracture pattern, we at times have to maneuver this rod manually to get through certain fractured segments, as the rod will be blocked by a cortical chunk of bone, preventing it from entering easily. Once the rod is implanted, we can now remove the guide wire. Once the wire is removed, we can connect a targeting arm directly to the rod. The femoral implant has pre-engineered holes in it. Using this targeting device, we can perfectly drill a hole through the bone and rod to provide adequate fixation at the distal end of the bone. We drill through both cortices of the bone and measure the length of the hole we just created. With the length known, we can take an appropriately sized screw and drive it into place. This process is repeated twice at the distal end of the bone, drilling, measuring, and inserting the screw. The purpose of these screws are to prevent the rod from rotating, shifting, or migrating during the fracture healing. With the distal portion of the femur secured, we move proximally to secure this end. In a similar process, screws are placed to fixate the rod. However, there is no targeting arm to guide this precise placement. Instead, under C-arm guidance, we take repeated imaging to ensure proper drilling, measuring, and placement of screws. There are pre-engineered holes at this end of the rod that X-rays help us to map out our incision and drilling paths. Once we drill a hole, we use a tool called the depth gauge. This is a long calibrated ruler with a hook on the end. This hook will catch the far cortex of bone, We can lower the outer sleeve to the near cortex of bone, and a reading of length is determined. With the length known, we can insert a screw into the bone. As we had done below, we repeat this process of drilling, measuring, and inserting a screw one last time to complete fixation of the fracture. With all hardware implanted, we get a final set of x-rays to ensure proper reduction of the fracture and anatomic stability. Most patients will be weight-bearing as tolerated, without any activity restrictions following this procedure. It will take 3 to 4 months for the fracture to maturely heal. Through this process, patients will work closely with physical and occupational therapy services to regain strength, function, and mobility. Thank you for joining us on this point of view walkthrough. We will see you next time in our OR.